Hey guys, so we're working through chess.com's character chess bots. We're in the intermediate range, and we've moved on to Elena. It's rated around 1200, and all it says, she's from Romania, I think, and Elena coaches an elementary school chess club. None of the kids have beaten her yet. Can you? Well, let's find out. Alright, so can you play better than my students? Let's see. I'm going to play e4. Okay. I'm going to mix things up a bit with the Danish. She should take, and now we go for the full Danish. We'll go for the full Danish. Okay, there we go. So we've got two killer bishops now lined up on these diagonals. So that's the point. I've given up 2 pawns in return for very quick development of my bishops. Okay, well, that's not an issue. I can simply take bishops defended twice by the pawn and the queen, and now the knight comes out to defend f7. Fair enough. So one option is to drop the bishop back to c1. It's a little bit negative, but it could work. Normally expect the queen to come to one of these squares to defend f7. At which point I would bring the knight in, try and bring the knight in. Okay. I notice I've got 2 attackers on b7. So that would make a bit of a mess in black's structure. I think I'm just going to take on there. There's no immediate threat to my king. I do want to get castled, of course. Okay, there we go. So big threat on the rook. Well, that doesn't protect the rook, doesn't save the rook, does it? So I can take the rook, then I'd have to come back to b7 next move. There are a couple of checks. I don't have to be too concerned about that because I can block with the bishop there, I can block with the knight. Let's go ahead and take the piece. There we go, so there's a check. Now I'm up in material, I'm going to offer an exchange. I think knight to e2 would be quite solid at this point. Okay. So the question is, do I develop the knight and aim to castle next turn, or do I try and get my queen out of here? The queen's not under threat. I mean, if this knight moves, then we just swap off queens. If the queen moves away, I grab the knight with check. So I think I'm okay. So let's go for... so I want to move the knight and try and castle. Which is best? On e2, we've got the situation where the knights are buddied and protecting each other. But I think f3, for some reason, feels better. Oh, that's not a bad move at all. Okay, so the queen has moved, but it's still defending the knight. That's okay. But it doesn't stop me from castling, because if I castle, I've got my rook on here defending, my king there defending. So I think I'm alright. And well, I'm up a rook and a pawn at this time. Okay, so this pawn push makes sense. It's preventing my knight from advancing up the board, but now I've got rook to b1. Either rook would do, skewering the queen, so the queen should have to move, and then I can capture, and I'm just going to capture with a rook. No point exchanging the queen, and this will win black's queen. And we have crushed Elena. Yes, checks don't bother me much unless it leads to mate. Well, hold your horses. Watch this space. We're going to try and checkmate you. Alright, so I think that's a good check, because it takes away this square. Just need to bring my knights in closer, maybe remove pawns. Let's bring the knights in. Create a net around her. So now this square is available for my queen, and it's game over. Well, that was over quite quickly. Well, okay, so not much to say about Elena, but then I did come out with a very forcing opening with the Danish Gambit, so she's busy grabbing material, and up to this point, and really it leads to such a sharp game that you don't really get to see what your opponent's made of, because they are going to be spending the game reacting as long as you keep the pressure on. But Elena did make a serious error. So first mistake, just offering up a pawn for no real advantage. Knight moves out, which I get. I mean, the knight really had to move out to there. Well, she had to do something to defend f7, because the next move was going to be bishop takes, and then you can even capture the knight after that, because the rook can't recapture. So it did come with a threat. So that was just an error, really. So that not only gave away a pawn, but it also directed my bishop against b7 as well, which was only defended once. So Elena doubled her problems with that move. So early mistake, then forced the knight to come out, simply losing material. She could have saved the rook. She could have moved the knight away, and then the queen's defending the rook. So yeah, I don't think that feels like I was playing a 1200 level human. Certainly not a rapid. So yeah, I don't think Elena should cause you too many problems. I think Maria was a much more worthy opponent than her, and a lot more fun. But maybe Elena's got more to offer than that, but not in this game. All right, see you soon.